All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as the Niners are getting ready to look ahead to the NFL Draft and the All-Star games. And the Hula Bowl took place last weekend, the Shrine Game coming up, the Senior Bowl coming up. Then it's the Combine. And then after that, of course, you got the workouts and the draft comes in April. But let's talk a little bit about the Hula Bowl that was played in Orlando, Florida this weekend. It was year 4 in Orlando, Florida at the University of Central Florida. There were 32 NFL teams in attendance, 9 Canadian Football League teams, 8 UFL teams, all sent representatives to Orlando to look at the prospects. The star of this game last year was Tyrone Tracy, who had a couple touchdowns in last year's Hula Bowl, and the Giants wind up taking him, and what a year he had for the New York Giants. There's 130 total prospects in Orlando. And most of these players are going to be day 3 prospects. There's hardly anybody who's going to be nobody who's going to be a first-round pick plays in the Hula Bowl. Nobody who's going to be probably a second or third-round pick plays in the Hula Bowl. So let's just talk a little bit about the Hula Bowl. But first, of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And this video is also sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code NINERS to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered into a drawing to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall red Niner jersey. We'll announce the winner of that on Super Bowl Sunday's postgame, the postgame show that we do after Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. All right, let's talk about some of the players that stood out in this Hula Bowl. One is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a running back from the University of Arizona. 5'10", 205 pounds, very fast. Very fast, very explosive, but he can block a little bit. He tries hard as a blocker. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. His most meaningful trait that's going to transition at the next level is the speed. He has huge speed. And not a big back, but man, I think a special team guy and a good return guy and potentially a running back who can catch the ball out of the backfield and make explosive plays. So Kyle Shanahan loves speed in the backfield. Remember that name, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Really good football player. Another guy that I really love, Shunderick Powell. What a great name. The running back from Central Arkansas. 5'9", 180-pound running back, FCS All-American. Led Central Arkansas this year with 1,342 yards and 14 touchdowns. He was 7th in all of the FCS in total yards from scrimmage. He's also a really smart kid. He's an honor roll student, an explosive playmaker. Remember that name, Shunderick Powell from Central Arkansas. Another running back in this draft who I really love is Quentin Cooley from Liberty. He's 5'7". He's 220 pounds. He's a North Carolina kid who wound up at Liberty. He had 1,254 rush yards this year and 13 touchdowns. You can't knock him off his feet. He's just got great contact balance. He can run it between the tackles. He runs with power. He finishes his runs. Quentin Cooley's a really good football player. And, it'll be interesting to see what kind of 40 time he runs. He's not really a burner per se, but man, as far as just a short plugger with power who is really good between the tackles, Quentin Cooley is really fun to watch. Another guy that I really liked watching is a NorCal kid, Elijah Badger, who played at University of Florida. He started at Arizona State, transferred to Florida. He's a NorCal guy. He went to Folsom High School up in Sacramento, and this guy's got a lot of talent. Folsom High School, 6'1", 185 pounds. He was great in high school. He scored 58 touchdowns in his 3 years on the varsity at Folsom High. 70 receptions and 7 touchdowns in 2022 for ASU. 65 receptions in 2023. He's got special teams experience. He's got natural hands, big catch radius. He's not a burner. He's going to run in the mid 4.5s. And that's probably why he's going to be a day 3 pick or maybe undrafted. But he's a productive football player, and he's a good receiver, and he's even pretty. I think his 4.55 may even be a little faster when it translates to the football field. But remember that name, Elijah Badger, former Florida Gator, probably going to be a day 3 pick. A tight end that I think is kind of interesting is Carter Runyon from Towson State. He started off at a Division III school and then wound up at Towson State. He was an offensive tackle in high school, and he switched to tight end in college, and he was all CAA first team this year. Loves to go deep, great work ethic, loves football. This is a really good football player. I mean, this is a guy who absolutely loves to play, and he's a receiver, but he also is a try-hard blocker. So I really kind of like him. A couple other tight ends, though, that also caught my eye. Cole Taylor, the tight end for West Virginia, LSU transfer, 6'7", really good receiving tight end with long arms, a lot of ability. Cole Taylor from West Virginia. And, you think of West Virginia, they never ever even used the tight end, hardly at all. He went there, and in the first year, he was their leading receiver. So, I mean, to me, Cole Taylor kind of put the tight end position on the map at West Virginia, and I really like him in this draft. He's also going to be a day 3 guy. Another local kid that you may want to keep your eye on, because I think he's pretty intriguing, is Jermaine Terry, the tight end, who's 6'4", 225 pounds. He went to Kennedy High School in Richmond. He started off at Cal and then transferred. But he's, big-bodied guy with great hands, kind of rounding into, I think his best football is ahead of him. Very athletic, powerful lower body. This is a guy who definitely looks like a pretty interesting receiver with soft hands. Another guy that I really like is a defensive tackle named Ricky Barber, who is training this offseason in Texas, and he's just a disruptive sack master. He had a sack in the Hula Bowl. He plays for Central Florida. He's a Louisville, Kentucky kid. Kind of small, kind of short, 6'1", 6'2", about 295 pounds, but a really high effort player and a guy that really stood out in this Hula Bowl. Another guy that I really like is Carlin Vigors, the cornerback from the University of Louisiana at Monroe. Just 6'1", 188, great ball skills, great length. He can cover. Really a really impressive week going up against some good receivers. Carlin Vigors, the cornerback from University of Louisville or University of Louisiana at Monroe, is somebody to watch. And a couple more guys that I really like. BJ Green, who's a 6 foot, 260 pound edge rusher who started at Arizona State and then transferred to go play for Dion at Colorado. Former running back, he was a walk-on at ASU and has made himself an incredible player. I mean, he's a kid from Atlanta, Georgia. He's now, coming out of Colorado. As I said, 6 feet, 260 pounds, but he's an outstanding rusher, great speed, makes an impact, and he's gonna be either undrafted or drafted late because he's only 6 feet tall, but he's a great athlete with great speed, great motor, great bend, 260 pounds, and very, very productive. So BJ Green, remember that name. And one other guy that on the defensive line that I think is also a guy that you got to take a look at is a guy with a unique name. His name's Fatorma Mulba, and he was the nose guard for West Virginia. He wore number 54. He started off, he's an interesting kid. His parents hail from Liberia in Western Africa, and they came to the U.S. They were one of the very few people that got to come to the U.S. from Liberia. And so they came legally to the United States. The dad has become a truck driver. The mom has become a nurse. They settled in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and this kid became a great wrestler in high school, and then became a really, really good football player, and was a pretty highly recruited player at 6'4", 310 pounds. And Penn State came calling. and he went to Penn State. And, you know, Penn State just so loaded that, you know, he just never really got on the field at Penn State. He was the number 3 high school recruit in all of the state of Pennsylvania his final year in high school. As I said, he's got the wrestling background. He's a mauler who just eats up double teams. He's incredibly stout in the run game. And he's like one of those leverage players, you know. And the thing about wrestling is that, you know, it's the low man wins. And so this guy's 6'4", 310 pounds, but he plays with great leverage. He's great against the run. Really, really strong, really, really quick. As I said, a guy who was productive, you know, didn't play football until he was a junior in high school, and somehow wound up as the third best recruit in the state of Pennsylvania, and got a full ride to go to Penn State. And it didn't work out at Penn State, so he transferred to West Virginia, and the kid came of age in West Virginia. So remember that name, Fatorma Mulba, the big defensive lineman from now West Virginia, formerly of Penn State. So there you go. Some of the guys that really stood out in the Hula Bowl. We'll do this for the East-West Shrine and for the Senior Bowl as well. As I said, most of these guys are not going. None of these guys are going in the first round. Most of these guys aren't going in the second or third round. But they might be day 3 draft choices, and some of these guys absolutely can play. So just to recap, Fatorma Mulba, the nose guard for West Virginia, B.J. Green, the edge rusher from Colorado, Cole Taylor, the 6'7" tight end from West Virginia, Jermaine Terry, the Pac-12 tight end, the former Cal Bear who transferred, I think, to Wazoo, Ricky Barber from University of Central Florida, defensive tackle, Carlin Viggers, the cornerback from University of Louisiana at Monroe, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, a running back from Arizona, Shunderick Powell, a running back from Central Arkansas, Quentin Cooley, the running back from Liberty, Elijah Badger, the wide receiver from Florida, and Carter Runyon, a tight end from Towson State. Those were the guys that kind of stood out to me at the Hula Bowl. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Better for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.